Now, as the resident GetintheRobot sad boy, I will say quarantine has me a bit in my feels, or rather has me a bit lacking in them, and maybe y'all too. I can only not leave the house for so many days before all my emotions start blending together. I miss the little nuances of regular not being locked in my house life. So recently, all I've really been able to do to feel alive again is watch anime that makes me feel some type of way, or Fisto if we take it back to 2012. So I figured, hey, two birds with one stone, here's a list of anime that might bring that feeling back to your life that also doubles as me projecting my emotions at you for 10 plus minutes. Okay, we talked about this first category a bit during our anime to watch while the world burns video, which is basically the same thing as this category, except while everything is dying, these next anime will just make you really glad that it is. Speaking of that initial watch list, we mentioned this one there too, except now it's worse because everyone got some time to watch it and there's a lot more promiscuous booby Haru fan art now. My Twitter feed is not for the faint of heart. Beastars.
That's all algorithmic though. That's on you.
The people I follow like it, and then it pops up all my stuff. Okay, I don't, maybe it is me, I don't know. Yeah. Beastars is about a world of modern, civilized, anthropomorphic animals who live in a society with a cultural divide between the carnivores and the herbivores. Legoshi, our main wolf boy, battles with an internal conflict of his instinctual desire to eat and his emotional desire to commit to Haru, the booby rabbit in question. It's the actual interspecies reviewer, and the review is, actually it's pretty good. Oddly enough, the show about talking animals really says a lot about human relationships, has a very poignant message on classism and societal roles. Seeing Legoshi go through his evolution, yeah, because he's a I'm sorry. Seeing Legoshi go through his evolution of trying to find himself and better understand how this world works brings a nice little perspective to the one we live in now. Which, oddly enough, if I had to choose, I'd prefer the furry world right now because they can actually go outside. Granted, you might get eaten, but I think at this point that risk is less dangerous than the one we have to deal with here. Besides that, it's one of the only CG anime that doesn't make me want to see the world burn because of how it looks. Dear God, am I scared for Dorohedoro to come out. Anyways, check out Beastars. Anime is slowly trying to make us furries, and I'm on board, especially when the indoctrination directly coincides with interesting and compelling think pieces about the world we live in. Plus, no shame in being a furry. Joke's on us because we all are now. Stepping out of my fursuit and into my coffin, another anime to watch while you pray for the destruction of humanity is Death Parade. The gist for this one is that essentially whenever someone dies, they get sent to a mysterious bar, which is the midpoint between a new life and death. So basically, like a regular bar. The bar is run by bartenders serving as arbiters for the afterlife. There, the recently deceased participate in death games to determine whether their soul should be reincarnated or sent to the void.
I don't know if like calling them death games is really accurate. They're more
oh, they're games.
Games.
But they're games. They're dead games. You're already dead and you're playing games.
Yes.
Much different. See, what's cool about Death Parade is that we run into some terrible and really amazing characters that have a really wide variety of circumstances about how they got there. The show really blurs the line between good decisions and the payoffs they bring. Want to make your boyfriend feel better about getting you and his unborn child killed? Lie to them about the baby not being theirs and that you cheated on him. Great job, you're a good person. But the arbiter didn't know, so you're getting sent to the void. Doesn't sound the most fair, but that's kind of the point of the show. Constantly reminding us of that age-old saying, decision making is hard. What's even better is that everything happens under the guise of fun activities like video games and darts and bowling. And not gonna lie, the afterlife sounds pretty chill right now considering they have that. At least they can go to the bar and go bowling and whatnot. Granted, that's a quick way to die or get someone killed in our world right now, so maybe a slight pass on that. If dying means I can only play 6 minutes of a video game and then cry and then get sent to purgatory, I don't know if it's really up my alley per se. But things could always be worse. We could all live under mysterious and unethical laws, right? Because that's definitely not what we're doing right now. Next up is Psycho-Pass. Essentially, the government introduces this thing called the civil system, which is a law enforcement agency that works with the Japanese government in order to determine who's a baddie and who's a goodie by scanning people's brains and establishing their Psycho-Pass, which is essentially a scan of someone's mental health and how likely they are to commit a crime. However, our main protagonist, Inspector Akane Tsunemori, begins to see that the civil system might not be the best gauge in determining how good or bad people are in society. And turns out this is pretty much the anime version of the Minority Report, which, side note, I watched recently and it really holds up, and I say that as someone who hates Tom Cruise. If you thought Beastars and Death Parade had moral dilemmas, oh boy, are you in for a treat. And if you don't believe me, here's a little scenario for you. Investigator sees a young girl getting assaulted by a man. So in this scenario, who deserves to get shot by your super high-tech police gun? Is it A, the assaulter, or B, the survivor? I'm sorry, the answer is C, both of them. Why? Because both of their psychopasses are too damn high. Yeah, I don't really get it either, but neither does Akane, and that's the whole point of the show. Maybe not the best world you want to live in, but definitely one you should watch all 3 seasons of. It's really, really good.
Except for the second season, that was just okay.
Second season was kind of trash, and the third season locked up in an Amazon jail, which debatably is worse than Netflix jail because it's on Amazon. You can't even find it.
Oh my god.
So yeah, enjoy the first 2 seasons. Next up, something we all might relate to when you really miss the homies, which is something I've been doing a lot during quarantine, and there's nothing like a good anime to help you reminisce on the good times. See, back at my old house in college, my roommates used to play poker every weekend. I'd always sit out because I didn't want to lose my money once a week just for the sake of social interaction. But these days, I would gladly lose my money once a week just for the sake of social interaction. But now that I think about it, if there were as much guns, bodily fluids, and high schoolers involved in those games as there were in this anime, I might have to take the pass again. I'm talking about Kagagurui. Kagagurui centers on the students of an elite high school that specializes in, well, gambling, which is definitely a thing that we should be teaching 15-year-olds. The students bluff, put down money, and 9 times out of 10 cheat their way to the top, which oddly enough is a lot like high school.
You ever encounter the kid that's always like pretending to sleep but is actually trying to peek at your answers?
That was me. That was me. I never cheated to like get the right answer. I cheated to check if mine were right. Confirmation is important when cheating. If you ever cheated on a test? But now that schools are doing online classes, I guess the Kagagurui kids will have to switch to online poker, which I feel like is a lot harder to cheat with when the program literally won't let you do it. It might be hard to track someone's tell too. I mean, all they need to do before was just see if their opponent looked like they were gonna orgasm, and then chances are they probably had a good hand. I guess you could always listen to the moans through your headset.
What the fuck is this section, Curt? What is this section?
Dude, every time in the anime when they're doing good, they're like, and so it's like, and I'm like, dude, that's a pretty obvious tell, Yumiko, that your hand's good. There's a lot of very questionable faces, yelling, and oddly excited threats of mutilation in Kagagurui, which again, still somehow reminds me of the homies. It's definitely worth a watch. Go check it out. Next up, here's a little something if you want to kick it with your friends, but you're all bad people, which I resonate with personally. Konosuba. Konosuba is centered around Kazuma Sato, a normal, regular guy who dies and gets transported to a magical world. Yes, your classic isekai. However, upon getting transported and harassed a bit, he's given the choice to bring one item with him to the new world. So he picks the goddess who's helping him cross over. And as they go about their lives in the world, a few more members join their ragtag gang and slowly make a nice dysfunctional family, like any reasonable friend group. And honestly, Konosuba is a great ride and one of the funniest anime out right now. The character dynamics are so normal. Not normal in a sense that this is what a normal person would say, but in a sense that it is definitely how a group of friends might go about a situation. People getting mad, take advantage of others. That's how friend groups work, right? Right? So if you're really looking for that buddy hangout and maybe kill a Demon King romp, you've been missing out. Check out Konosuba. Speaking of being with friends, what if one of them was just God? Just casually God. We'll probably clear up the whole pandemic thing real quick. Anyways, I'm talking about the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. The show is oddly enough not about Haruhi, but her classmate Kyon, as he's dragged by Haruhi on a ton of adventures. Sounds pretty typical stuff until you learn that, well, like I said earlier, she's kind of a god. The other members of the SOS Brigade, the club Haruhi made so she has an excuse to go and do all these wild things, are a time traveler, an Esper, and an alien, all monitoring Haruhi, essentially making sure she doesn't get bored of the world and decide to just, start it over. Well, Haruhi, I hope you're happy because this is incredibly boring. So please restart the timeline, please. Wild premise aside, the anime gives off the same energy of just getting into antics with my friends, and I miss antics. Can we have antics again, please? Like, please? It's a fun ride that's really worth the watch. And if you get through season 2, episodes 2 through 8, let us know. I have my Endless 8 badge. Dude, I printed that shit off as like a kid. I printed it off because I was so proud of myself through sitting through all those.
I forget that when I was in college, you were still in high school.
Yeah, I watched that a long time ago.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, we'll keep going, but it's the sad ones. But enough about friends. What if you really just want to embrace the feelings? Like playing a breakup song after a breakup. Well, here's a list for all you masochists who just want to embrace your sadness. A silent voice. This is the first movie on the list, but God, it's probably best that it's a short watch because it hits immensely hard. And if it was any longer, I'd probably not make it. Life is basically silent voice right now, in a sense that instead of everyone having X's over their faces, they're wearing masks. I can't connect with anyone either, but not because of my emotional stagnation, but because of coronavirus. This may really be an anime to watch when you want to give up on your mental health, because I got emotional just watching the trailer and writing this section and reading this section. It makes me remember the one thing I don't miss about social interaction: bullying. As with most elementary school kids, our main boy Shoya and his group of friends lack any sort of empathy, and they bully their new classmate Shoko. But as time goes on, Shoya experiences bullying of his own and realizes the error of his ways, and tries to make amends with Shoko. I don't want to give too much away, but this is a heavy one, and it looks at bullying from all sides and the effect it has on those that go through it. So watch A Silent Voice and come out as a much better person. Next up, I have a piping hot serving of the existential dread you were looking for. Check out Plastic Memories. 18-year-old Tsukasa Mizugaki joins the Scion Artificial Intelligence Corporation, or Psycorp, which is responsible for the creation of Giftias, basically highly advanced androids that are pretty much indistinguishable from humans. However, unlike humans, Giftias have a maximum lifespan of 9 years and 4 months. You can probably guess where the tears are coming from here. Tsukasa ends up falling for the Giftia he's partnered with, Isla. Of course he does. Of course he does. Here come the feels. See, I've always seen love as finite. It's pretty dark if you think about it, but most relationships either end with y'all breaking up or at best, someone dying. And this anime is that in a nutshell. Why even love at all if those connections are gonna end someday? This is getting really dark. Anyway, the show touches on a lot of soft spots on the idea of permanence and the point of connection. There are no guarantees in life, especially in relationships. So if you're in a mood for questioning all your relationships, check it out. It might make you feel a bit better about the dating drought that is quarantine. I don't like that at all.
Oh my God.
I don't like that at all. I want the robot forever. Stop. Next up is Anohana. If the ones I just mentioned were left jabs, this is the right hook. We talked about it before, but it's like the sad boy anime of the past decade, so I gotta try to convince you to watch it again while I'm trying not to cry. God, why? Why do y'all make me do this? After passing away 5 years ago, the spirit of a small girl named Menma contacts her old friend Jinta in order to help her move on to the afterlife. But in order to do so, she needs to fulfill a wish that she can't seem to remember. So to help her out, Jinta must bring back their old friend group that has drifted apart after her passing to help figure it out. I've started and I'm already hurting. Like literally, a character cries every single episode. Every episode! Every episode! Did you know that, Adrian?
Yes.
Someone cries every episode? Jacob, I hope you're having a good time. I wanna die. All right. Dealing with regret and coping with death are huge motifs that span the series in its entirety, and I don't like feeling things personally. But if there's one common thing that we can all relate to, it's not making the most of our past, and I definitely regret that. So if you're into hitting an emotional bottom, like Adrian, who actively seeks this sadness,
Yep.
why? Check out Anohana.
All right, I was looking through your script and I saw you remove Clannad, and I completely disagree with this.
Why? I don't have the emotional patience. I barely made it through Anohana.
I mean, I know you said you haven't properly finished Clannad. Clannad, I know, whatever. But I think it's well deserved to be on this list. The first season is like a little bit more happy. There's these 5 girls that the main character relates to, and they all have like these tragic backstories that he learns about and resolves for them, building up these emotional connections in the very first season, and those are 24 episodes of just building up connections.
See, I see what you're gonna do here. I see what you're doing here.
The second season hits.
Don't.
And it's just like, all right,
don't.
Let's make these emotional connections even more emotional by breaking them.
I see. I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna say
this in a way that's unexpected and will leave you heartbroken. But let's not only do it once. Let's do it twice.
Why would I want to talk about this? I don't want to
Because it's literally the reason why these anime make you feel things. I feel like...
Don't make a lesson out of this. Don't make a moral out of it. I heard that tone. No. Stop.
I was 5 or 6 anime into my first tour of anime when I started getting into anime. This was my 6th one. It ruined everything for me because I'm expecting this type of emotional payoff, and I only recently got it with a silent voice.
So this is like the same level as like people who eat hot sauce. You came out the gate with the ghost pepper. Nothing has felt the same since.
Watch Clannad. It'll make you cry like not once, but twice. Maybe even, 4 times.
There you go. There's Adrian's section. Y'all not gonna make me cry anymore. We're moving on to the anime that make me feel doki doki instead. I'm sorry, I just said that. So first things first, picture Death Note, but if L and Light refuse to admit their feelings for each other, and the plot stayed in high school, and they're on the student council together. In other words, Kage-sama, love is war. If y'all know me at all, especially if you check me over on Curt Richie, I also do stream, slight plug. I'm a big fan of love, especially when it's a lot harder than it needs to be, and that's exactly what's happening here. At the highly esteemed Shuchiin Academy, Miyuki Shirogane and Kaguya Shinomiya are student council president and vice president, respectively. They're the envy of the entire student body, regarded as the perfect couple. However, despite both having already developed feelings for each other over the year, neither are willing to admit them. So like a normal relationship that normal people have, they believe that the first to confess their love loses, and we get to follow the two through their incredible mind games. That's kind of why Kaga is such a great bop. It brings out the emotions of real love, and I know I said this during our anime year review, but it's actually how I operate in a real setting. I have a lot more to say about that, maybe with someone else, but you'll hear about that in a future video. Finally, we touch on a budding romance and on a really questionable dubbed scene. I love you! It's Tsukigakure. It's Tsukigakure. I don't know how to pronounce Japanese, even though I've been watching anime for like a decade. The show follows Kotaro and Akane, who have just become third-year students in middle school. They're put in charge of the equipment for a sports festival, and from there, a small connection starts to form. It's a classic love tale, two people meeting by chance and encountering all that usual mess that comes with love. Competing with others, anxiety and insecurity, sounds like literally my life. There's just something about romance, especially during these times, that makes you feel better. But honestly, I'll live vicariously through these two Japanese kids in the show any day. It touches on the more real level, down-to-earth love situation that Kaguya might not. On one end, we have teens that don't want to admit their feelings, while on the other hand, we have teens that have no idea how to feel. Both are equally relatable. So whatever your flavor, sad boy, there's something for you. Okay, now that I've utterly destroyed your emotions and mine and brought them all back up, in times like these, sometimes you just want to watch something that goes down easy and makes you feel good about the world. That's what this next section's all about. And there's no better way to do that than watching a wholesome anime about a Yakuza and adorable alien girl. Yes, I'm talking about Hinamatsuri. There's just something about Hina that gives you hope. If this Yakuza can learn to be a loving, caring father figure, maybe we can all learn to stay the f home. People can change, at least in anime. Hinamatsuri makes me want to cry, but in a very good way. These are happy tears that make me believe that when quarantine is over, maybe we will really all grow as people. Adversity makes us stronger, right? And so does adopting an alien girl. And honestly, after all that UFO stuff that came out, we may all just have to adopt aliens, like foreign exchange student style. And if we do, we can take some notes from Hinamatsuri. If the pandemic has taught me anything, it's that it's okay to vastly undervalue essential workers as long as you call them heroes.
What? Damn.
I have to wonder if the crew from A Devil is a Part-Timer is participating in that McDonald's strike. Maybe not, since Satan technically works in a copyright safe version of McDonald's. Social critique aside, this show is just satisfying and fun to watch. The pandemic is so bad that even Satan is unemployed and now has to be an essential worker. There's just something so cool about one of Satan's top officials telling him he can't go see a movie because they don't have it in the budget. It all makes me wish I could sit inside a McDonald's again. This show is goofy and fun and will make you remember the before times when our biggest problem was the McFlurry machine always being broken. So if you didn't have enough fun kicking it with Haruhi, we can always kick it with Satan, just covering all our bases here. Or maybe you just want to explore all possible paths. Like in My Next Life as a Villainess, all routes lead to doom. This one's making a splash right now because A, it's an isekai, and no matter how much we say isekai, we still watch it. This is what it means to be trash. I accept it. And B, It's really cute and has like 1,000 possible ships. Come on, you know the more ships a show has, the more popular it is. That's just basic anime math. In the show, Katarina is a former otaku who gets reborn into one of the otome visual novels she played. Now, if I could just get reincarnated into Dangan Island 2, that'd be great. Finally, then I'd be ready to embrace death. Like right now. Anyways, because Katarina knows the game she's in, she tries to manipulate her character's fate to avoid the inevitable. Doom, i.e. like the title. Look, we're all trying to avoid the inevitable doom right now, and I'm just glad she's being proactive, because all I can do is like watch anime until I develop bed sores. It's a fun ride to see her befriend characters that are supposed to be enemies, and just fundamentally mess up the world of the game, because that's exactly what I would do if I was reborn in Otome VN. And that's really about it. I'm definitely in my feelings now, and I hope you are too. I'm Curt, this is Getting the Robot, your anime watch list. I'm gonna go cry now.